The Hex is one of those games, but you come to play for the experience rather than something you play all the time. Some can say that this is a con rather than a pro, but others would say that it's the complete opposite, etc. and etc. So what is the Hex? In the Hex, you're in a creaky old tavern in a forgotten corner of the video game universe, while a storm is raging. An anomalous caller suggests that there is a murder bound to happen, with the 6 video game protagonists being the only plausible suspects, them being the Space Marine, the Sorceress, the Platformer, the Fighter, the Apocalypse Survivor, and the first person perspective. So let's begin with those positives. To start off, the idea. As the game description says, there are 6 different game protagonists, and they all play differently, from being a Super Mario clone to a more combat style game, Final Fantasy, etc, etc, and etc. Second positive would be the story. The main selling point that this game shows is the story, since this is basically a game version of the Hateful Eight. Watch it, it's great. Which is funny because it's one of the main inspiration for the game.
And I was kind of in this mode of like, okay, what if this was a game? What if that was a game? And then I saw this movie, The Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino, and I'm a fan of his other movies. I like this movie too. And so that night, as I was going to sleep, I was kind of thinking, what if this was a game? And I was kind of thinking about this concept that Tarantino didn't necessarily invent, of like a murder mystery where all the characters are stuck in together and they have like pasts that intertwine with each other, and there's all this intrigue, and I thought that was really cool. So I was thinking, what if that was a game?
Once you are done with it, you'll be left in awe. And finally, the characters. With a story like this, you have to make each character have either a reason or motivation to be here, and all of them are pretty solid. From being at the top, only to become a shadow of themselves, being sick of redoing the same thing over and over again, or even lose sense of what is and isn't real. All of them having a good reason on how they all got to this point. But now let's talk about the issues I do have. One of them being the gameplay. Since there's 6 different game protagonists, there's 6 different gameplays for each of them. Now this comes to personal opinions, but I would say from the 6 gameplays from them, I enjoy at least 3 of them, while the other 3 were either underwhelming or uninteresting for my taste. And that also comes down to my second issue, being the length of them. While some can last up to 15 minutes, some can also last up to 45 minutes. Guess which ones I don't like? And finally, the replay. Once you've completed it, that's it. There's no reason to come back to this. The same can also be said with Daniel's game beforehand, Pony Island. Once you've finished it, there's no reason to go back. And I think that's his only flaw with his games. He can make an interesting concept and an interesting story, but the gameplay is always something I would say is the weakest part of his games. But again, they can be fun every now and then, but it's usually rare to see it be fun all the time, which is funny enough, something that he did fix with his latest game. What else can I say about this game? Well, if you like story, Fork Roll Break, mystery type games, this one's for you.